Alright guys, so I'm going to do a few more Patreon requests, and this next one comes from Christopher Rosa, who asked me to do a Marvel Owl House crossover. So, as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon where you guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and yeah, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon where you guys can hit the 4th tier. I forgot to mention that. God, I'm so tired. Anyway, so you guys, yeah, tongue-tied. I hope you guys enjoy this. Let's get started. So this story is set somewhere in season 2 of Owl House. So in this story, Belos has thought of a new way to get to the human world, or at least a different way in case the Day of Unity doesn't work. Because here's the thing, he's been away for a while, and he doesn't know that there are now the arrival of mutants, or the arrival of metahumans on Earth. But he has been in contact. He has been trying to find a way to Earth and find, because he does have an idea for a backup plan. He does, because he has been reading a lot of ancient texts from the Boiling Isles, and one of them involves what this plan is going to be. So in case he doesn't need the Collector, in fact, he's like, if I can cut the Collector out of this whole thing for the Day of Unity, I could totally be set if I could just get this going. But in order to do that, he needs to get in contact on Earth with a certain group that he is kind of a part of. So more or less what happens is that with a little help from the Collector, he does manage to get to Earth, but it's more of he can project himself, and the person he projects himself to, or rather the people he projects himself to, are the Purifiers. So yeah, if you guys don't know who the Purifiers are basically an X-Men villain group who have been around for a while. They've been very much, they've been around, they've been essentially causing mayhem for the X-Men and other Marvel superheroes, because they're very these Christian nationalist extremists who will usually get sent to Sentinel tech or upgrade themselves into cyborgs and not realize the irony, as in most religious groups do, where they don't realize the irony that they're making themselves into monsters. Yeah. So, but however, in here, when Belos contacts them, contacts the Purifiers are like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's like, "You knew me as Philip Winterbane." In here, in this story, Belos was the person behind the Purifiers, or at least a major inspiration for the Purifiers, where he was idolized as this war hero to them. Philip Winterbane was a major inspiration for the founders of the Purifiers, and however, they always thought he was hunting mutants. When he was hunting witches, they thought it wasn't really witches, it was mutants. So what he does, however, is inspire them to hunt down mutants, and then they're like, the great mutant slayer has come, and he's like, the great what now? So they tell him, you've been away, mutants are a curse on our land, and they're genetic abominations, we must make our nation under God a pure, divine country of no more mutants. And they tell him about the metahumans and the Inhumans and Eternals, and he's like, the world. He's like, holy shit! I'm gonna have to do a Day of Unity on Earth now. I can't just go back to Earth and just do that. I just can't go back to Earth and expect to live like this. I'm gonna need to take out all of those threats to my people there. I'm gonna have to do some serious overhauling on that end too, because holy shit, that sounds like a lot. and that's what happens, is that Belos goes and works with the Purifiers on Earth to more or less create a scenario, a plan to wipe out both all witches on the Boiling Isles and all metahumans on Earth, and more or less purify the entire landscape. However, to do this, Belos is like, well, listen, I've been more or less keeping in touch. I've been more or less been reading these old occult books, and they can help us get our plan going. And they're like, what? And some of the members of the Purifiers are like, you were reading from the occult, Belos? You were, and he insists on calling him Belos to keep like his identity, because he told them, hey, they think I'm a god here, and it's all a big plan to kill everyone and purify this land. So yeah, just call me Belos, don't call me Philip. And they're like, sure, but okay. What are you gonna do with those old archaic books? That's kind of against the god, right? And they're like, and Belos is like, no. See, I'm gonna use. I am going to use these old archaic books to bring about something that could take out all of our opponents, and that he's planning on reaching out to the dark dimension and summoning Dormammu. Yeah. So Belos and the Purifiers are trying to summon Dormammu, and yeah. So some of the Purifiers who are like, this ain't jiving right. So one of the Purifiers defects and goes to contact the X-Men, and they already think it's like a trap. But they're like, look, I don't like you mutants, and when this is over, I'm going to go back to my white Christian God and pray that all you mutants die. And they're like, thanks, GOP supporter. You were saying? And the guy says, I didn't sign up to serve unholy beings, so this Philip Witterbane guy, this Belos guy, is planning to summon this thing called Dormammu to Earth, and I don't like that, so maybe you can all kill each other and the real god will appear. And they're like, cool, you're crazy. But that does bring up a point of, hey, Dormammu, that's a problem. And the X-Men go to Doctor Strange, they tell him what's going on, and he also is like, what did the guy say his name was? Philip Witterbane? And he's like, uh-huh. So Strange is aware of Philip Witterbane as like a witch hunter who did murder hundreds of witches. In fact, Agatha Harkness even encountered him when he was in Salem a long time ago. So, there's some history there, and even Agatha is like, uh-huh, Philip's alive. Wunderbar. So, yeah. Meanwhile, if you're wondering where we are in the Boiling Isles, yeah, of course, Ida has kind of like, Emberwolf and the others have been more or less passing information to Rain, and they're like telling them straight up, like, hey, Belos is moving with something on Earth, and we don't know what it is. You should tell Ida. So Ida's informed that, yeah, there's something. Belos is moving and shaking with something on Earth. We don't know what it is, but you should be very worried. And yeah, it's exactly what you think it is. What they have to do they're trying to use an old occult circle and drain magic from the Boiling Isles directly to open a gateway for Dormammu, because they more or less want to bring Dormammu to Earth and bring the dark dimension to Earth, just so he could wipe them all out. Not knowing these dumbasses don't realize, neither the Emperor's Coven nor the Purifiers realize, they do that, he's going to kill everything, and people have tried this, it's not going to work. So there's a bit of pushback there. Meanwhile, the X-Men have made contact with Doctor Strange, and they tell him, hey, like I said, they made contact with him, and Doctor Strange, who is a member of the Avengers, is like, I'm gonna go get some people real quick. So he summons the Avengers. So the X-Men and the Avengers are brought together. They're told of what's going on, who Philip Witterbane is, the Purifiers, and Dormammu, and yeah, and they're like, we gotta go to this Boiling Isles. So the X-Men and the Avengers, with Doctor Strange's magic, transport themselves directly to the Boiling Isles. And of course, when the Avengers and X-Men arrive on the Boiling Isles, Luz is like, holy shit, it's the X-Men and the Avengers. Just like in my fanfiction, I get to live my own fanfiction dream. I'm so happy. And Amity is like, who the hell are these people? I didn't know you guys had monsters on your planet. And I thought you... And also, I wanted to have, like, a fun thing where we talk about, like, yeah, Ida said there's no magic on Earth, so why does Doctor Strange have magic? Basically, in here is that Boiling Isle magic is from a different form. Where, like, Steven explains to Luz that, like, the magic he pulls from is from the energy of the Earth and the cosmos itself. You're from the Boiling Isles is a different universe, so it's obviously pulling magic from a universe that's not of our own. So that's how it works. Like, that was the whole thing, is that like, that would be a fun thing of, like, explaining that if there was ever a Owl House Doctor Strange Owl House or Marvel crossover, there would be that moment of, yeah, you'd have to address that Ida and the Boiling Isles have said there's no magic on on Earth, so if there was a crossover, it was like, well, how does Doctor Strange work? So there you go. So yeah, the two teams. So now that they're now united. The two groups head to lead an attack on the Emperor's coven. And however, the problem is that Bellows has already successfully brought Dormammu to the physical plane. Problem is, he didn't go to Earth. He went to the. They let him in the Boiling Isles. And when Dormammu comes, so do the Mindless Ones. So everyone has to, like, the people of Boiling Isles, alongside the Avengers and X-Men, have to all unite to do battle against the Mindless Ones and stop Dormammu and push him back into the Dark Dimension. And when that was all said and done, Bellows saves face by saying, you know, wild witches summoned the dread Dormammu to our world, and they worked with these purifiers, and they're like, the purifiers are like, you motherfucker, and Bellows proceeds to kill all the purifiers that he was working with to, again, save face. And that's how we cover all of that. By the end of it, Captain America offers Luz a chance to come home, but she's like, this is where I need to be. And he's like, good luck, soldier. And the X-Men and Avengers leave. Everything goes back. So there you go, guys. That is my Owl House Marvel Universe crossover. I'd like to thank Christopher Rosa for this fanfiction idea. This was a lot of fun to do. And you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of it? Like it, hate it? And once again, if you guys like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below. Head on over to my Patreon. You guys can hit the 4th tier and start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.